Welcome back to This Week in Hockey East. It's time to bring in our guest today, who's presented by the Boston Harbor Hotel. Plan your getaway today at bostonharborhotel.com and experience Boston's best waterfront views. We're joined by the head coach of the UNH Wildcats, Mike Souza, whose team just went up and swept Maine at Alfond Arena. Coach, appreciate you being here. Thanks so much for joining us. It always has to be special, I'm sure, going up to Alfond, getting a sweep over your rivals. Just take us through that weekend and how proud you are of your team.
Yeah, absolutely, Eric. It was a great weekend for the program. Most importantly, getting 6 huge league points. Tough place to play, as you know. You were there, so tough place to play. We were leaking oil a little bit there on Friday night. Stuck with it, 5-on-6 situation, then found ourselves in the exact same situation the next night. Saw the game through, got some big saves, and now we're on to Dartmouth.
I was going to ask, in that first period, Maine got off to that start. But again, so many of their chances weren't necessarily on goal early, which is one of the things that you guys do so well when things are going right. What was kind of the messaging on the bench, 5 minutes in, 10 minutes into that first period that allowed you guys to settle down, get into the game, and eventually go on to get the victory?
Yeah, I mean, one of the things about playing up there, as you know, there's always a flurry in that first 5 to 8 minutes, always up there. And we had talked to our team about that. As a coach, you're trying to weather that, get through that. Ideally, try to create some chances for yourself. But we found ourselves under siege early and survived. And the game settled in, and I thought our kids settled in. It was first experience for a lot of our players up there, so it was a unique experience. One of the great rivalries in all of college sports. People always reference, college hockey. I think it's one of the great rivalries in all of college sports.
You're in the midst of a 4-game win streak right now. What trends have you seen from your team that have contributed to the success you've had recently?
I think we're learning. We're growing. Here we're on the other side of Thanksgiving. We've had some ups and some downs. We struggled to win on Saturday nights for a while there. Some immaturity in our game. I hope we're on the other side of that. We've seen a lot of growth from our young D-core. Gotten solid goaltending for the most part all year from both Kyle Chevette and then Jerry Whale stepping in big time down at UConn. So you know what, we're growing, and I'm a big believer in you grow through winning. People love to talk about growing through losing, but I think that growing through winning is the best way to go about it. And I hope our guys realize some of the things they've done over the last few weeks are the reasons we've been successful, and hopefully we can sustain that moving forward.
Mike, just going back to the first weekend of the year, it feels such a long time ago now, but going out to Michigan State, getting a victory in that first game, how important was that to just kind of setting the season off on the right foot?
Yeah, I think it was huge. I mean, I think it showed a standard that we could play to if we played the right way, and things went our way that night. We got a little bit of a fluke goal early, and I thought our kids defended and played hard that night, and we got solid goaltending that weekend. So that was sort of the standard and set us on our way, and some ups and downs since, but it's all about the next one, and for us, the next one is really big.
You mentioned goaltending twice just now. I want to talk a little bit about goalkeeper Kyle Chevette. Can you just describe his style of play and what he's brought for you guys this season? He's been pretty good recently.
Yeah, he's a kid. He's got a lot of experience, played a lot of hockey at Union. Not a flashy goalie. He makes the saves he's supposed to make, and once in a while the ones he's not supposed to make, like he did on Saturday late in the game. So just a solid veteran presence in the net. As I mentioned, not flashy. He's very diligent in his approach, and he's been a really hardworking kid. He's acclimated himself well. It's a great story. He's a New Hampshire kid, familiar with our program for a long time. So happy to see him playing well.
Mike, we talked a little bit about this offline last week, but you guys brought in a bunch of guys from major juniors, which is obviously one of the big things we've been talking about in college hockey this year. There's obviously a geographic element that makes sense based on where you guys are. Can you just talk about the decision to bring some of those guys in and the impact you feel like they've had for your team early in the season?
Yeah, of course. So I mean, we're trying to obviously improve our roster any way we could. And you mentioned the Maritimes. A lot of kids from the Maritimes. There's Maine, then there's New Hampshire, where I guess the next stop, right? So we were familiar with some of the kids, as you and I have talked about before, from recruiting them prior to them signing and playing major junior. Sam Oliver comes to mind. He was on a visit here years and years ago, but being familiar with Jacob Newcomb and Alex Carr through various contacts that we had, like all the programs do. But sort of trying to get on those guys early, and those guys have acclimated themselves very well into our culture. I mean, a year plus ago, they weren't thinking about going to college. Here they find themselves in a dorm, dining halls, all these practices. We practice all the time. We don't play all that many games, but I think they've adjusted well, and they're all fantastic kids.
We want to get a little bit into that matchup with Dartmouth a little bit later. But first, I wanted to talk to you about your involvement with the U.S. Collegiate Selects at the Spengler Cup. You're going to be an assistant coach there. Can you talk us through what the roster selection process was like, and what have you enjoyed about being part of that process so far?
Yeah, so there was an early criteria that set the roster up to give us 6 or 8 guys, the returning All-Americans to college hockey. And then it was a matter of us just huddling up every Sunday night, using contacts. We've had sort of an extended scouting staff of some NHL scouts, using our contacts around college hockey, talking to coaches. We've met as a staff every week, and we're trying to build the most competitive roster we can. Some guys, due to obligations with their teams, that maybe would be on the roster, aren't coming. But we're really, really confident in our group and excited to coach some of the more talented players in all of college hockey. It'll be fun. It's an experience of a lifetime. But the selection process was unique. I mean, it wasn't certainly not a perfect science. I'm sure there's guys that could be on the team that maybe weren't selected. We're hoping to put the most competitive team on the ice that we can, so that not only do our guys have an incredible experience, have an opportunity to win the tournament, we would like to get invited back and really showcase college hockey. And we've got a first-class group of coaches and staff, and it's been a lot of fun and a great honor to be a part of it.
Well, you played your part of your career, your playing career overseas in Switzerland and in Italy. So obviously you have a little bit of experience over there. When I was looking through your bio and it said you played in Cortina, it popped a question in my mind. What are your thoughts on the Olympics being there? I haven't been someone that's played there, and maybe is there something we don't know about the hockey culture, the hockey community in Italy? What is that tournament going to look like, you think?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny, Italy doesn't probably get a lot of recognition for its hockey, but as people think of the boot, but I always say it's like a piece of broccoli. So if you get up into the Dolomites, there's some great hockey towns and great hockey villages. And I was fortunate to play over there for a while and play on the Italian national team and be a part of that. And really, Cortina ironically hosted the '56 Olympics. So there's a great history there of the Olympic Games, but also hockey tradition in northern Italy in particular. And so I hope they get all the facilities finished. The Italians, you never know. We'll get it done at the 11th hour certainly, but it'll be a great experience for all the countries that are participating. They'll be spread out. Milano and Cortina are good 4+ hours apart. So. But what a place to play, and I was very fortunate. Went to Switzerland for a year and ended up staying over there for 5 or 6 years. It was one of the more unique experiences I've ever had in hockey.
Mike, quickly before we let you go, we'll talk about the NPI implications of playing Dartmouth and all of that. But just how big a game is this, and how big for the state of New Hampshire to see both teams doing so well, and how much are you looking forward to Sunday?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Reed's done a great job. They're a well-constructed team from the goal on out. Top defender in Foley and Stavrov's got a goal game, and so they're good in all areas. They defend really well. They defend hard, and then they can score. So what we're worried about UNH. We're worried about playing well and doing the things that we've done over the last few weeks to manage our own game. We're all about trying to find that level of consistency and the Big Green's obviously off to a great start. It's going to be a real tough test for us on Sunday afternoon for sure.
We appreciate your time, Mike. Good luck this weekend.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
That's Mike Souza, the head coach of New Hampshire. We'll continue on with our show after this.